The pregnancy test trembled in Eliza's hands as two pink lines appeared, confirming what she had suspected for weeks. Tears streamed down her face as she slid down against the bathroom wall. How would she tell James, the man who had made it clear from their first date that he never wanted more children after raising his daughter alone for 5 years? The man she had fallen hopelessly in love with despite promising herself it would just be casual. If you're feeling the tension already, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to catch all our emotional story series. Your support means everything, and trust me, you'll want to see how this journey unfolds. James Parker stood at his kitchen counter, methodically preparing his daughter Lily's lunch for school. At 32, the routine of single fatherhood had become second nature to him. The careful balance of crusts cut off sandwiches, apple slices arranged in the shape of a smile, and notes with little hearts that made his 7-year-old beam with pride. The morning sunlight filtered through the curtains, highlighting the scattered toys that perpetually littered his modest apartment despite his best efforts to maintain order. "Daddy, can I wear my sparkly shoes today?" Lily bounced into the kitchen, her dark curls, so like her mother's, bobbing with each step. "For school?" "I don't think so, sweetheart. Remember what happened last time?" "You couldn't run during recess," James replied, zipping up the lunch bag. "But Eliza said they were pretty," Lily pouted, mentioning the woman who had unexpectedly become a fixture in their lives over the past 8 months. James felt the familiar warmth spread through his chest at the mention of Eliza's name. At 35, she had crashed into his carefully constructed world with her infectious laugh and boundless energy. A children's book illustrator who had moved to their small coastal town for inspiration and peace, as she'd put it when they first met at the local bookstore where he worked part-time. "Eliza thinks everything you wear is pretty," he said, smiling. "But today is PE day, remember? How about your rainbow sneakers instead?" Lily considered this compromise with all the seriousness a 7-year-old could muster before nodding decisively. "Okay. When is Eliza coming over again?" The question hung in the air as James's smile faltered slightly. It had been nearly 2 weeks since he'd seen Eliza, the longest they'd gone without contact since they started dating. Their last conversation had been strained, filled with awkward pauses and unspoken words after he'd once again reaffirmed his stance on not wanting more children when she'd casually brought up her friend's new baby. "Soon, I hope," he answered, trying to keep his voice light. "Now go brush your teeth or we'll be late." As Lily scampered off, James checked his phone. No messages from Eliza. The silence between them felt deafening. Across town, Eliza Morgan sat in her sunlit studio, staring blankly at the half-finished illustration on her desk. The whimsical forest scene she'd been commissioned to create for a children's book about courage seemed to mock her current state of mind. Her hand absently drifted to her still flat stomach, the reality of her situation overwhelming her once again. 6 weeks pregnant. 6 weeks of knowing her life was about to change irrevocably. 6 weeks of avoiding the man she loved because she couldn't bear to see the disappointment in his eyes when she told him. Her phone buzzed with a text from her sister. "Have you told him yet?" Eliza sighed, typing back a simple no before setting the phone face down. How could she tell James? He had been brutally honest from the beginning about his boundaries. After his ex-wife had abandoned both him and their 2-year-old daughter without warning, leaving nothing but a note saying motherhood wasn't for her, James had thrown himself into being the best father he could be. He'd made it clear that his heart had room for a partner, but his life didn't have space for more children. "I can't do it again," he had told Eliza on their 3rd date, his voice soft but resolute as they walked along the moonlight beach. The sleepless nights, the constant worry, the responsibility of shaping another human being. "I've given everything I have to Lily. I don't have it in me to start over." Eliza had nodded, understanding completely. At 35, she'd been focused on her career, telling herself that if motherhood happened, great, but if not, that was fine, too. She hadn't expected to fall pregnant despite their precautions. She hadn't expected to feel this immediate fierce connection to the tiny life growing inside her. And she certainly hadn't expected the bone-deep certainty that she wanted this baby with or without James. The thought of raising a child alone terrified her. But the thought of terminating the pregnancy felt impossible. And the thought of losing James and Lily, who had become so precious to her, was almost unbearable. Her phone rang, startling her from her thoughts. James's name flashed on the screen, sending her heart racing. Taking a deep breath, she answered. "Hey," his deep voice came through, tinged with uncertainty. "I've been worried about you." "I'm sorry," she replied, her voice catching. "I've been busy with deadlines." The silence that followed told her he didn't believe her. James had always been perceptive. "Lily keeps asking about you," he continued. "And honestly, I miss you, too. Can we talk? Maybe dinner tonight?" Eliza closed her eyes, knowing the moment of truth had arrived. "Yes," she whispered. "We need to talk." That evening, James paced his living room nervously. Lily was at a sleepover with her best friend, giving him and Eliza the privacy he sensed they needed. When the doorbell rang, he nearly jumped, taking a moment to compose himself before opening the door. Eliza stood there, looking both beautiful and fragile in a simple blue dress, her auburn hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders. The sight of